Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about what I did last week, some of the news that caught my eye, and I'm thinking of adding like a game that's in development that could be interesting to look at in the future. So let's start as always with my number one game, EVE Online. I still think it is the best game out there and I'm pretty happy with last week. I managed to play quite a bit of EVE Online. I did some mining, some industry. We're also bringing some more blueprints. Nothing too expensive, but we're starting to get a decent library of module and ammo blueprints, and so we're just checking out the market, exploring possibilities for some Tech 2 research and production, and yeah, it's going pretty well. Sidder Balnit and myself are mostly busy with that. Another thing that I did, and I also made a few videos about that, is I managed to get some exploration time in as well. Not really that much, but of course the event surrounding the citadels did trigger my interest in trying some exploration. And it went pretty well actually. There was one evening where I spent a lot of our corp money on some PI for the Citadel, so the preparations for the Citadel, and because they're pretty big in volume, I had to spend most of the evening just doing some logistics works, bringing the stuff that I've bought back to our home base. And because of that, I couldn't like spend any time mining or making money, so I decided to jump in on some exploration. I found a nice 4 out of 10 in the void there, and it yielded me a lovely 70 million faction smart bomb. So that just basically made my whole evening. You know, I had to do some logistics work that basically had to be done because we had quite a few funds in the wallet. I decided to start investing that in preparations of the Citadel. That meant I needed to go back and forth in the freighter a little bit, just to be able to do all of that safely, and as a result I couldn't make any money, but just a little bit of exploration, probably 1 hour, something like that, and I'd found a nice 80 million module that basically meant, okay, pretty good day for me in EVE Online. And all the other ones I've actually been able to play a decent amount as well. Now there is some news concerning EVE Online that caught my eye. So first of all, of course, there is the event that's basically happening with the research components, which can, apparently it's not an NPC but an actual CCP created character, and that you will need to contract those research components to. The one thing, I agree, it's in the comments as well from the videos about exploring for the Upwell Consortium, is that it's not really clear. This event is like in quite muddy waters. There is no express CCP announcement about it. There's no detailing what exactly it's all about, but yeah, as far as we understand it, the two top donators of these research components to Upwell will receive a blueprint copy of a medium Citadel, and they will also have their names become a part of the very first Citadel that will be built. So what are the in-game plans here? It could be almost nothing, you know, basically you just bring in those research components. When it ends, they'll take the two top donators and 2 other random people, and they will get a blueprint copy when Citadel actually launches. Another possibility, of course, is that this is much more tied into in-game events, and that we could see the construction of an in-game Citadel happen even before Citadel actually launches, as they develop some of that technology on CC, come out with patches before Citadel. We could see some things like that, and it could be interesting, especially of course if that were to be tied in with some of the Drifter events as well. So I think there's a decent chance that this will be event related and that there will actually be in-game stuff to explore when it comes to all of this. But of course, because we don't have an actual announcement from CCP, it could just be, nope, this is just a very small event thrown together over the new year, and you'll just end up with a reward when Citadel hits. I'm hoping that the other news item that I thought was pretty interesting is that the O7 show is coming back in around 2 weeks. I'm hoping that we'll get more details on all of that during the O7 show. So the O7 show is coming back, pretty good. I love the O7 show myself. I try to watch all of them live on Twitch as much as possible. What I of course like the most about it is when we get some information about the roadmap where CCP is going to when it comes to their development, and of course what they've already managed to do in their development cycle. So yeah, the O7 show is coming back as well. Pretty interesting news there. And I think it's the final one for EVE Online. It was a thread, I think early in the week on Reddit that was actually pretty interesting. It turns out that there's another gambling website out there called iwantisk.com, which is basically, you know, you can gamble your ISK and try to make some money that way. You'll usually end up losing that way, but they have like 12 directors or banker characters. I think it's like characters that hold the ISK, that gather the ISK during a lottery and then pay out the other people. They've had a dozen of them that are banned. Apparently, it's already been starting since December. So it's a strange situation. The actual thread was about a SoundCloud recording where people from iwantisk.com were discussing the situation. Now, keep one thing in mind. I didn't hear anything incriminating in that recording. They basically admitted that there were about a dozen characters that have been banned by now, probably on suspicion of real money transactions. But they were basically just deciding how they would handle the situation or trying to understand the situation themselves. It's not like they admitted to RMT or anything like that in there, not a huge bombshell. But the fact that this is once again happening on a gambling website is I think pretty interesting. RMT is a problem, but it's, in my opinion, it's good to see that CCP is actually pretty vigilant on that, and yeah, they're trying to get to the bottom of that, and we'll see how all of that develop. Maybe another really big scandal could blow up when it comes to RMT, and it made me want to make a video about all of that once again, but I decided against it because, well, there's no clear picture of what's actually happening. We just know that there's 12 accounts that are related to iwantisk.com that have been banned for now. We don't even know for what. So I think I'll just keep one eye on it. If it develops any further, I might try to cover anything that's happening there. But yeah, the RMT, and then especially what keeps happening when it comes to gambling websites of ISK, personally, I think that is pretty interesting because I don't understand the mindset of a gambler. I don't understand how people actually can come to the idea that it's a good idea to gamble with their ISK, and they only end up giving these banker characters trillions and trillions of ISK, which, well, always becomes a little bit of something that could get someone into wanting to try to RMT all of that ISK. I don't understand how an easy time these gambling websites have of basically siphoning ISK from the player base that goes along in that type of an activity. It almost makes me, I'm almost making the video that I wanted to make there, but right here, but it almost makes me want to think that perhaps CCP should add in the gambling mechanics as a form of gameplay themselves, so that they can do it without an actual profit. You know, they would just outcompete any gambling websites out there who will want to have a cut out of that. They could just make it a zero-sum game and just make that available in-game to the players. Considering how popular that keeps being, it's maybe something that they should explore. Anyways, yeah, that iwantisk.com scandal, there's nothing too definitive, so that's really all I can say about that. Next game, Fallout 4. I'm actually pretty happy. Latest part of the week. So just before the weekend, I managed to get a few hours of Fallout 4 in with my gunslinger character. He's level 42 now. I'm still having fun. I'm basically creating a standard pattern for my settlements, but I'm taking my time, so I feel like everything is still under control, which is actually pretty rare. I haven't played Fallout 4 in more than a week, and usually I end up in the situation of not knowing what I have stashed where and how I want to continue at that point anymore. But this case, because I've gotten a clear pattern in my settlements, I've not overwhelmed myself with any of that. I've been able to pick up the thread once again, and now I actually do feel like developing my character into like more of a level 50 plus character, and it could be one that I'll then just keep until like a DLC hits or something like that, and then I'll be able to pick up the game playing DLC with a fully rounded character that I like. So yeah, Fallout 4, it's still going pretty well, although I'm starting to see the limits of the questing systems of the dungeons. I tend to know quite a few by heart by now, but my character is approaching a point where I'll say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do what I wanted to do with him, play the story, join the Institute, and play from that perspective without rushing anything, and then just getting that guy basically ready for when a DLC drops. That's basically my plan for Fallout 4. Now, when it comes to actual news, not much outside of some EVE Online news has really caught my eye, but there is a game that I want to talk about just a little bit because I think it's pretty interesting. It is called Black Desert Online, and at the moment it's in beta. I think they had their closed beta phase 1, which was live in December. You can see that right here. And I think it's decently promising because they are once again attempting to create a fantasy-based sandbox MMO. This is not going to be like an MMO on rails like World of Warcraft with nothing but raids and things like that. The idea is really to have like localized economies, from what I know, castle building, guild on guild warfare, PvP is going to basically become like the end game of this game. But there's, from what I understand, a really vast and complex crafting system with an economy that requires you to transport things from town to town in order to make more money, which all has risks related to it. It has, I think, a lot of EVE Online elements into its sandbox elements of Black Desert Online, and I have my eye on this one, honestly. It is set to be released in Q1 of this year, but you know, as always, be very careful with that. But the fact that they have these closed betas going is, in my opinion, very encouraging. And the business model, I think, looks pretty damn fair. It's gonna be buy to play, so you just buy the game, and then there will be a cash shop in game, and that has been the major worry of the Black Desert Online subreddit. But all of the threads that are coming out about the monetization in the in-game store is actually looking quite promising. So they're pretty open to what's happening there. And while, of course, there are some limitations that the developer is putting on your ability to craft and to create items in the economy there, which can then be boosted a little bit in the in-game shop. So far, everyone seems to be quite all right with it. They're not seeing any major pay-to-win items in there. It's mostly cosmetics, mostly timed boosts, so stuff that only lasts a certain amount of time. And so yeah, Black Desert Online, in my opinion, it looks pretty interesting, quite promising. The fact that it's buy to play, I think, is pretty good as well. From what I just read not that long ago, if you want in on the closed beta too, it's like $50 or 50 euros. But just to buy the base game, it's only going to be 30, and then you'll be able to go in on the game at launch. One thing that I read about it though is that it's going to be pretty time intensive. It's going to be like a major time sink because of how some of the reward systems and then the passive regeneration of some of these like ability points in order to craft stuff. So it's I've not experienced the game myself, but from what I've been reading about Black Desert Online, it actually looks like a decent attempt at creating a fantasy sandbox MMO. A lot of people may be reminiscent of Arcade, of course, which also had a lot of these elements, but where the cash shop basically screwed up the game. The pay-to-win monetization just came through too hard, and it basically killed off that game and any interest for me in that game. Whenever I see Arcade, I of course immediately go to some of the reviews, and that's the very first complaint you'll always find is pay to win. But it looks on this one, so far at least, that the developer is aware of those mistakes and is gonna actively try to avoid that. So for your consideration, honestly, Black Desert Online, you can even buy your way into closed beta. Personally, I'm not going to take that jump. But if that game launches at the current business model at $30 for just buying the game and be able to go in there, I think I'll at least take a look at Black Desert Online, because it looks pretty interesting in my opinion. Anyways, that's what I wanted to share with you guys for this Sunday recap. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.